Oh, no!
Kill him.
God damn! That was an arrow right to the head. Did you ever want to be Robin Hood? Well, in Hood, Outlaws and Legends, you actually can. You can be John, Friar Tuck, or even Maid Marian. Even though she's not really a maid, she's more of a crazy assassin and extremely deadly. So, what do you do in Hood, Outlaws and Legends? Well, you basically break into a castle, you steal the key from the sheriff, you find the vault, and you escape with the riches, and then give it to the poor. And some you keep for yourself. So something early I discovered is that the enemy's line of sight of you is quite far. You want to stay hidden when you want to stay hidden, otherwise they're going to spot you from a mile away and get really suspicious. If you don't stay hidden and the alarms go off, doors lock down and it gets a little harder to escape the area or just even pass through. So there is some reward to being stealthy, however you don't have to be.
Who else is it going to be? Alright.
So the combat is fairly simple, with some blocks, parries, and dodges, but you also have a stamina bar, which is a resource for all of this, so you've got to balance attack and defense in every situation. You can easily find yourself with no stamina, unable to attack, and this knight right in front of you ready to chop your head off. But the guards are just problem number one.
Oh, it didn't matter. Even with my ability, it didn't matter. Okay, all right. Sheriff is just nope, nope, nope. Don't fight the sheriff. Just go.
As the developers describe him, the force of nature that is the sheriff is exactly that. The sheriff cannot be killed. The sheriff will hunt you down, and the only thing you can do to the sheriff is delay him through certain things such as explosive arrows, smoke bombs, and a few other methods. Outside of that, steal the key from him, keep out of his way, and just hope that he does not find you.
Sheriff just stomped me. I jumped down to rescue my lad, and the sheriff just absolutely crushed my solar came to my chest with his boot.
Now, aside from the sheriff and the guards, your next biggest threat is of course the enemy team, who are after the same riches as you, the same loot, the same key, and wanting to extract the same way. There are respawn points set up around the map, there are A, B, and C, and there are some default ones around the edge of the map itself. The advantage to capturing these points is to spawn closer to the combat from when you died, to get back into the action as soon as possible, and to help your team. Bear in mind you can capture the respawn points from the other team, putting a spanner in their works.
Oh, goddamn. Robin murdered me.
Some of the most chaotic fights I've had so far in the game have been at the winch. The winch is where you extract your treasure right at the end and basically win the game. You have to be in control of the winch, you have to get it all the way across its progression bar at the top of the screen, while protecting yourself from guards and the enemy team at the same time. This is probably the hardest part of the game as you have very little cover. Most of the time, you have arrows flying your way, explosions, the sheriff might turn up, there's just crazy stuff going on constantly. But is it fun? Oh heck yeah, it's fun. It's a blast.
So much for being Robin Hood. That was actually pretty fun. Not gonna lie. I guess the question then is, how long does that sort of the rotation or the repetitiveness of that game mode, how long does that last? Like, how long does that remain fun?
So for my final thoughts on the game, as it currently stands, I've got a few good points of which I want to touch on, which is these three. The combat in the game is super fun. It's not extremely varied, but it's still good enough to stand on its own. People may call it out as a weak point in the game going forward, and if they do, I can understand. There are other games where the combat is a lot more varied, has more depth to it, but as it stands, I believe it's fine. The next good point is that the choices are plentiful, especially in the mid-game. Do you go for the sheriff? Do you let the enemy team go for the sheriff? Do you wait before they go for the vault, or do you go for the vault? There's so many different choices, and that level of choice is what will keep the game interesting going forward. Every game being different, every choice being different, and I think that's a really strong point for Hood. Now, this last point is very early days, as it only just came out the other day. However, I believe the execution of this game has been good. The release has been rather smooth. Not completely. There have been people who have had issues with connecting and errors, and these things do happen with new game releases. The studio is on it right away to make sure everyone can get in the game. But aside from that, there's no bugs that I have come across so far. The game runs rather smoothly, even on maximum graphic settings. It all appears to be running quite well, so it's a good sign going forward on the technical side of things. Now, the one important question that everyone needs to ask is, how long can it stay fun? Is this game worth getting? Are you going to get your money's worth out of it? Again, it is very early days and very hard to tell. However, how things are looking right now, it looks to be in a good place. And if the devs treat it right and steer it in the right direction, I think the game can last for a good while, and I definitely think you'll get your money's worth out of it, but it all depends on what happens in the future. I've seen games go really bad, I've seen games go really good. It's so unpredictable, unfortunately, but as it currently stands, I would say yes. It's worth the buy, it's worth your time. It's not even the maximum retail price for most games these days, so I think it's worth a go. If you managed to make it this far through the video, thank you so much for watching, guys. Please give the video a like, and if you want more content and want to see more content from me, hit the subscribe button, and hopefully I will see you next time.